Switch it up every 5 years or so, whether you want to or not. Good to have you back. Good morning. Good Cyber Monday to you. Ohio State, the Ohio State University, is the best football team in the United States. And the crushing on Michigan. Sorry, Detroit. Sorry, Grand Rapids. Sorry, Ann Arbor. Great affiliates stayed up north. But, hey, you got one out of the last 16, so it's not hopeless. Right? You can possibly win next year. Ryan Day, welcome to the winner's circle. 10 other Ohio State coaches are in that winner's circle. One of them is now Ryan Day, makes number 11. Welcome. Not such a good day in Pittsburgh yesterday, but we are getting ready for next year in Cleveland. It is Cyber Monday. I am informed by the Wall Street Journal reliably that online sales reached $7.4 billion on Black Friday, up from $6.2 billion last year. And that was Cyber Friday, which isn't even Cyber Friday. It's Black Friday. You're supposed to go to the stores. You know that there's going to be $730 billion in holiday shopping? That's just remarkable. Foot traffic down 6.2% on Black Friday. Everyone's going to spend Cyber Monday online because that's where all the deals are. Great. Terrific. Let me ask you to begin your Cyber Monday with the Salvation Army. It's the perfect time to remind you about my online kettle campaign. We only have 23 days to Christmas. It's over at HughHewitt.com. We are over $85,000 in donations, but I'd like to get to 250 if possible. The need is so great as Christmas draws near. This is the year that Chick-fil-A has thrown out Salvation Army. And so we need to throw in more money. Betching Mrs. Hewitt and I doubled our donation. We would wish you would as well. Dale Bannon of the Salvation Army reminds us that wherever you live, your donation to the online kettle will stay in your community.
The funds raised during the Red Kettle campaign help the Salvation Army provide toys for kids at Christmas, clothes for the homeless, food for the hungry, countless other social service programs and after-school programs to those in need year-round. And I think it's important to note that every single dollar that's raised in the Red Kettle campaign stays local. Your donation stays in the community to serve those who need it most.
So just please dig as deep as you can. They really, really need it this year. Just go to HughHewitt.com. The Red Kettle banner is at the top. News this morning, President Trump's counsel says the president won't participate in the sham show trial. It's going to move from the Adam Schiff sham show trial to the Jerry Nadler sham show trial. Calls it unfair, notes that they're doing it when the president's at the NATO summit. And New York Times headline, Trump's lawyers won't participate in impeachment hearing on Wednesday. Fred Barnes, our friend Fred Barnes, we got to get Fred back on this week. There's a great column at the Washington Examiner, still looking for the crime. It's the bottom line is that with Bill Clinton's impeachment, there was a crime and everyone knew it. There's a time date stamp on it as there was on the Watergate burglary. All you got here is the telephone call. People read it and say, what in the world's going on? Pete Buttigieg still surging on the Democratic side. Made a trip to a North Carolina church over the weekend. 37-year-old mayor sitting down at the Greenleaf Christian Church with the Reverend William J. Barber II, causing some controversy, but Pete knows what he's doing. China and Russia opened up the $55 billion pipeline this month, changing the way that the world powers itself. $55 billion to build a gas conduit from Siberia to China. When we weren't watching, General Secretary Xi played the Russia card on us. In Iran, there is a brutal crackdown. At least 180 people are dead. Isn't that amazing? You don't even hear about it? They're as close to revolution as they have been since 1979. And the United States this time is encouraging and supporting the demonstrators, not intervening. Their country, they have to take it back from the mullahs. But in 2009, President Obama was silent. President Trump, Secretary Pompeo, all of the national security team supporting the people of Iran as they search for freedom and away from the tyranny of the boots of the mullahs. Great Britain is 11 days away from voting. Conservative Party at 42%, Labour at 33%, Liberal Democrats at 11%. Brexit Party's fallen apart. It's down to 3%. It should be at 0. Green Party at 4%. Another party at 7%. That includes the Scottish national parties. And just a lot going on. The great thing, after the British terror attack, everyone except Jeremy Corbyn got it right. When terrorists go to jail, they have to stay in jail. Jeremy Corbyn got it wrong, but everyone else has a brain in Great Britain. Honestly, if you vote for Jeremy Corbyn in the Labour Party, I don't know what we can do for you. On the Conservative Manifesto, by the way, British Armed Forces will get extra funding, according to the Times of London this morning. That's their Navy, their Air Force, their Army. That's all great news. Boris Johnson, Boris Johnson, Boris Johnson. Hey, if you want to give the best Cyber Monday gift, think about a gift to our friends. Send someone. Scholarship, your husband, your son, your father, your uncle, your best friend. Go with your best friend to the Wild Adventure, TWA.us. Here's my pal, Rhett Rasmussen, who went up to Montana with the Wild Adventure. Rhett, of course, besthotgrill.com. Besthotgrill.com. He is the best grill. There's a Christmas present, the Salena infrared tailgating grill, or the big one. But Rhett went up to Montana and discussed it with Jan Janura, cut number 13.
So I'm standing here with...
Rhett Rasmussen.
That's a familiar name. Where do I know that from?
Well, I've been up here to the Wild Adventure before.
Someplace else. Oh, the best grills in America.
Besthotgrill.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, where do you usually live?
Live in Fullerton, California.
And where are you right now?
Right now I'm at the Smiling Moose Ranch.
How is that?
Oh, it's God's country.
Really?
It's absolutely gorgeous.
So you did this before?
I did, 4 years ago.
And you brought back some buddies this time?
You know, I came back with my roomie from 4 years ago, and my good buddy Evan. We were roommates the day before we were inducted at the Naval Academy.
Really?
Yeah, now we're roommates again here today.
Well, great. So how was it?
That was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was a place where we could all, well, we now have 11 new friends, and it was just a place where we could just come and discuss what's on our mind, what's on our hearts, and really open up and try to find more of our heart.
Have you ever been on anything like this before?
Only this 4 years
Really?
ago. Yeah.
Really?
No, there's nothing else like this out there.
Really?
Absolutely.
Even though Hugh Hewitt pushes it?
Despite Hugh Hewitt. Hugh's a great guy. Hugh had first invited me up here.
Yeah, he is a great guy.
And he's very giving.
So, I was in an organization that measured everything by take-home value.
Okay.
What was your take-home value from this week?
My take-home value, well, it's very high, number one. And number two, the take-home is I've got to open up and listen to God. I need to have more quiet time. There's just so much noise out there. This is a great place to get it started and then go back and continue it. And even though I did it before, I just have to do it again. I have to keep working at it to be able to, cut out the noise of day-to-day life and just get to where I can, listen and have a conversation with the Lord.
TWA.us, thewildadventure.us. Second testimonial, Ryan Will. Again, they're talking with Jan Janura, who's been running this for 40 years. It's the best ministry I know, but it's also great fly fishing, great food, the great outdoors, the big sky country, cut number 15.
So, I'm standing here with...
Ryan Will.
Ryan, where are you from?
Right outside Atlanta, Georgia.
And where are you right now?
Beautiful Montana.
What are you doing in Montana?
Came and became a new man. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't related to Bruce Jenner, right?
No, not at all.
So
This was a fishing trip, went good.
Really?
Real good, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So, have you ever been on anything like this before?
Never.
Really? And how was it?
It's almost indescribable. It's
Really?
hard to put in words.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I was in an organization that measured everything by take-home value. What's the take-home value for you?
It is literally hard to put in words. I'll be here again. I'll be bringing people. I'll be trying to change other people's lives like mine was changed this week. So if that can be categorized as a take-home value, you come out thinking or knowing there's a little bit more to it than just fly fishing. And fly fishing is like so off in the distance of what happened to me this week. So.
TWA.us, America, the Wild Adventure. That's the best Cyber Monday present you can give to anybody. TWA.us. It's expensive. It's subsidized by Jan. He loses money on every participant, but it's great for the men who go, for your father, your son, yourself. And don't blame me if you're late. There are only 144 slots every summer. TWA.us. I'll be right back, America. Lots going on the Sunday shows yesterday. I'll tell you about it next on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. I'm smiling because it's that time of the year where I get to play Christmas music. We need a little Christmas in this country. After the Browns lost yesterday, I just sat there with the headphones playing a little Christmas. Hey, a little Christmas is needed by every homeless person, every addict, every child without a present, every hungry person, and the Salvation Army is out there doing that. Thanks to Bruce Brawley, donated $200. Doug Rogers, $100. Richard McRae, $104. Dirk Luckett came through with $1,000. Jeffrey Cobb, $1,040. Those are the last 5 people on my screen. The Red Kettle is up and running at HughHewitt.com. Thank you, everyone. And yesterday, the conversation on the weekend shows turned to impeachment. Doug Collins, who's the ranking member on House Judiciary and who should be the next senator from Georgia, if Brian Kemp can back away from the bad mistake he's about to make, I'm sure she's he's thinking about appointing a sort of a new figure, the owner of the WNBA team down there. I don't even know her name. Instead of Doug Collins, who's raring to go in impeachment, the president's choice, Mitch McConnell's choice, I think. I don't know that for sure. Certainly the choice of Georgia Republicans. Here is Doug Collins talking with Chris Wallace yesterday about this absurd hearing on Wednesday morning that the president's not cooperating with, cut number 6.
The chair of the Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler, has written you asking whether or not Republicans want to subpoena any witnesses to testify on the president's behalf. Will you?
Well, we're going to take care of that. We're making sure that we get our witness list in. But let me just point out something here. Chairman Nadler sent a letter asking us by Friday to present this list and present all the things that we would like to do. However, we're not even going to see the Schiff report, as it's going to be known, out of committee until Tuesday night, possibly even Wednesday morning before we get to see it. There's a lot of problems here that we have to investigate here. As an attorney, if you have a case going forward, you want to know exactly what you're facing. And Chairman Nadler is simply asking for an arbitrary deadline because we've not seen the Schiff report. We've not even heard from him what he actually wants to have for hearings. This is just another example, I think, of him being told, I need to do something, and we go from there. This is a problematic part for us to have to go forward with.
You bet it is. He continued on. Doug Collins did again. He'd make a great senator. If you're listening, Governor Kemp, a great senator. Cut number 7.
Oh, of course. We're going to testify. First and foremost, the first person who needs to testify is Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is the author of this report. Adam Schiff has been the author of many things, a lot of them found to be false over the past couple of years, but he's going to be the author of this report. He's compared himself in the past to a special counsel. This is what he said he was doing. Well, if we go back to Clinton and even back to Nixon, but in Clinton, Ken Starr was a special counsel. He presented a report that we're going to get as judiciary. He actually came and sat and testified under oath and took questions from all sides, including the White House. My first and foremost witness is Adam Schiff.
Now, I want to go back to the wild adventure because it's Cyber Monday. This is the gift you ought to give to the man in your life, husband, father, son, best friend, or second best friend. Here is Todd Stover talking about twa.us. That's where you go to sign up, and there are only 144 slots. Todd Stover, cut 18.
I'm here with
Todd Stover.
Todd. Where are you from?
Kansas City.
Kansas City? The Kansas part of it?
Kansas part of it, yeah.
Because there's 2 Kansas Cities, right?
Right. So you got a Kansas and a Missouri.
Yeah.
But I live right by the state line. I'm close.
So can you vote in both?
No.
Oh, too bad.
No, but I could probably hit a golf ball into Missouri from my house if it was a good hit.
And where are you right now?
I am in God's country. Yeah.
Really? Where's that?
Montana.
Montana?
Yeah.
Yes, sirree, the last best place.
The last best place.
And what are you doing?
Fishing, finding my heart, communing with guys, communing with God, having a lot of great questions asked.
Really? It almost sounds like a retreat, but I know you hate retreats like retreats. I do.
Yeah, I don't.
But this wasn't a retreat, was it?
We don't retreat. We go forward.
So, what was the most unique part of this week for you?
Just the ability to hear God's voice loudly, clearly. I usually have a hard time hearing it sometimes, and here it was very, very loud.
And what did he have to say to you?
Well, he told me that trust was something that I really needed to focus on with him. Just trusting him and where I'm at is where he wants me to be.
And you can trust me, America, on Cyber Monday. Head to twa.us if you want to give a gift of extraordinary importance. The Wild Adventure in Montana. Coming right back with Mike Allen of Axios AM. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Good morning.
The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself...
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Normally we have Mike Allen of Access AM right now, but the plane door just closed on Mike. He's coming back from Iowa. I do have his top 10 at Axios.com, Axios AM, and I want to go to number 9. This is actually a significant thing. The CBS Evening News, Walter Cronkite's old desk, the CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell, moves its new permanent home in Washington with tonight's broadcast, making it the only network evening newscast based in the Capitol. Jay Shaler, the show's executive producer, said in a CBS announcement, our move to Washington, D.C. allows Norah O'Donnell to bring viewers the heart of the story from the center of where everything is happening. This is long overdue and would have happened much, much earlier, but for the self-interest of news executives, I think. If you were a news organization during the late Roman Republic, the early Roman Empire, would you base your big show in Athens, where the Greeks had been great 300 years or 400 years earlier, or Rome? Athens with the then, and Rome the now. D.C. is the new Rome, at least until Beijing becomes the new Rome, which may or may not happen. So I think smart of CBS, very, very smart of CBS. Let me go back to the Sunday shows talking about the absurdity of impeachment hearings this week. I'll cover them. I always cover them. I cover the news, breaking news always, analysis that follows. Tom McClintock on This Week with Martha Raddatz yesterday, cut number 3.
So you'll recall in the intelligence hearings, Republicans asked for 9 witnesses. Adam Schiff vetoed 6 of those. In a free society, the prosecution doesn't get to choose what witnesses the defense wishes to call. And yet that's what's been going on in the Intelligence Committee. And again, the question is going to be whether Jerry Nadler continues that sham in the judiciary hearings. When it goes over to the Senate, that's going to play a big role, I think, in the Senate's deliberations. They, I think, will insist on full due process rights, and that could blow up in the Democrats' faces.
Meanwhile, Chairman Nunes, former Chairman Nunes, ranking member of the Intel Committee, not on judiciary, also spoke with Judge Jeanine on Fox News this weekend, cut number 4.
Well, we now know that this coming week, Jerry Nadler is going to start, phase 2 of the circus. Now, Jerry Nadler has been in the witness protection program now for several months after he botched the Mueller probe. So we're going to see how this goes. Suppose you're going to have talk about the constitutionality of impeachment. And look, during the Nixon impeachment hearings, you had an actual break-in. You knew what the crime was. During the Clinton impeachment, you knew that he had lied to a grand jury. I think for 2 weeks, one of the things we were able to expose is that not only did they not have a quid pro quo, they actually had to change quid pro quo to bribery until John Ratcliffe pointed out that the only person that had ever been accused of bribery in Adam Schiff's star chamber down in the basement of the Capitol was Joe and Hunter Biden.
Absolutely correct. Senator John Kennedy went on Meet the Press with my pal Chuck Todd yesterday and made this remark, cut number 5.
Rounds 1 and 2 by Speaker Pelosi and Chairman Schiff are as rigged as a carnival ring toss. And we both know that. If I were a prosecutor and I were prosecuting you for a felony and I went to a federal judge and I said, Judge, we both know Chuck's guilty. So let me call witnesses. Give me an order that he can't call any witnesses. He can't cross-examine my witnesses. He can't offer any rebuttal evidence. His lawyer can't even be there. You know what that federal judge would do?
Right. Well, that wasn't the trial. You're going to get a trial.
Handcuffs, or he'd put me in a straitjacket because I'd be sanctioned.
This White
and that's
House,
what's happened here.
Senator, this White House has not cooperated on any oversight at all. Have they not brought some of this upon themselves?
Have they allowed the president to call his own witnesses? No. Have they allowed him to have his lawyer present? No. Have they allowed him to offer rebuttal evidence? No. Have they allowed him to cross-examine the witnesses that were handpicked by Speaker Pelosi? No. Now, whether you like the president or you don't,
okay,
we both, I know, agree with due process. Nobody is above the law, Chuck, but nobody's beneath the law, and the Bill of Rights is not an a la carte menu. It's not.
We will...
I do believe that arguing with John Kennedy is like arguing with the LSU coach. Doesn't work very well. But Chuck had him earlier say some amazing things. Republicans have got to make clear in every appearance, Russia attacked our election in 2016. There is no denying that. The only question is whether or not Ukraine did as well. Ken Vogel's article of January 11, 2017 in Politico argues that they did. I've never seen that retracted, refuted, or amended. And so Republicans just have to be careful to always say, Russia did attack our election, Chuck, but that doesn't mean Ukraine didn't meddle in it as well. And the president asking for an investigation into whether or not they did, however elegantly or inelegantly asked, is legit. You know what else is legit? Salvation Army. Thank you, Andrew Presto. Just donated $104 6 minutes ago. Bruce Johnson gave $10. Let me tell you something. I don't care if it's $10,000 or $10. If you're giving of your need as opposed to your surplus, you're doing the widow's mite thing from the gospel. I appreciate it. And they do take care of the lost and the least at the Salvation Army. The absolutely desperate. People with no money, no place to go. The addicts out there, the 70,000 opioid deaths 2 years ago, the 65,000 last year, those people, some of them are alive today who are fentanyl addicted or opioid addicted or alcohol driven or whatever it is. They make their way to a shelter. They are the least and the lost. Or the homeless family that's new on the street and trying to find a safe place to stay. Sad story in D.C. this morning. They found a 14-year-old runaway from Chicago dead in an alley. Salvation Army is open to everyone of all ages, all races, all orientations, all political views. They just take care of people. So would you help take care of Salvation Army? It's over at HughHewitt.com. The red kettle is at the top. Let me also remind you on this Cyber Monday, if you're shopping for someone in your life who's a man, a father, a son, a brother, a best friend, send them to Montana on the wild adventure. My friend Jan Gennaro, who you will hear in this clip with Rex Schroner, has been doing this for 40 years and he knows how to do it. Here is Jan talking with Rex Schroner about why fly fishing in Montana is the greatest thing for men. Cut number 14.
So I'm standing here with
Rex Schroner.
Where are you from, Rex?
I am from Weatherford, Texas.
And where are you now?
I'm in Montana at the Smiling Moose Lodge.
What are you doing there?
I'm having a great time with a bunch of great guys.
Really?
Absolutely.
So, what are you doing?
Well, we're getting to know each other and spending time with each other and just talking about things that matter.
Have you ever been on something like this before?
Never.
So how was it?
It was great.
Really?
It was great. The thing that I took away from this was that I need a lot more men friends.
Huh.
I have friends, but I need a lot more intimate men friends.
And so, how'd you hear about this?
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt, that
yes.
guy is everywhere.
He is, absolutely. Both my wife and I listen to Hugh.
He's a great guy.
She more than I. And she came to me, we had talked about it, and she came to me and said, "You're going."
Really?
Absolutely.
You're not the first guy that's ever happened to.
I'm sure.
So when she said that, was there a little trepidation on your side?
Absolutely.
Really?
Just the unknown.
Yeah.
Not not being able to control.
So when you got up here and you stepped into this environment, what were you thinking? Oh boy.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Oh, really?
It's gorgeous. Just immediately you relax and let things happen. And the guys we had were great. We bonded immediately. So it was great.
You kind of already answered this, but I was in a group that measured everything by take-home value.
Yes.
What was the big take-home for you out of this?
That I need more men friends, more good friends. My story is a little bit different. I've always been Christian, and I was trained for faith, and I've always had a very deep faith. But 7 years ago, I suffered a brain injury.
Oh.
And I was pretty much down. I was a vegetable, and through a lot of hard work and a lot of good doctors, I was able to come back.
Thank goodness.
I have memory issues and some other things, but I'm here. I can do things, and so I've been struggling for the past 7 years about what God wanted me to do, and He spoke very clearly to me here that one of my physical therapy items was to learn how to quilt. And you have these huge 50-pound sewing machines that you move with your hands. And that was a part of my therapy, my hand-eye coordination, my brain-hand coordination. And I found out I had some talent with that. And he said, I've been wanting to know what I was supposed to do. And he told me that He gave me this talent and I should use it. And He said that there were 3 ways to use it. 1, I can create beautiful things for people to stop and look at and see God. 2, I can make blankets, quilts for the young girl who is being taken out of her home by CPS to give her some comfort. And 3, that I can make a quilt that will give some warmth to a man who's out on the street. And he said that's enough.
Well, good for you. That's huge.
It's huge.
So if you are skeptical, and there are all sorts of people up at this thing, The Wild Adventure, give it a shot. Give it a shot because it is the best gift you can give to any person in your life who's a man. You got to go fly fishing, and I'll play some more. It's a Cyber Monday special for me. Let me tell you what the president is tweeting this morning. 49 minutes ago, the president said it is clear there is none of the bipartisan support that Speaker Pelosi said for months was essential for impeachment. He was quoting Chris Wallace. 45 minutes ago, Brazil and Argentina have been presiding over a massive devaluation of their currencies, which is not good for our farmers. Therefore, effective immediately, I will restore the tariffs on all steel and aluminum that is shipped in the U.S. from those countries. The Federal Reserve should likewise act so that countries, of which there are many, no longer take advantage of our strong dollar by further devaluing their currencies. This makes it very hard for our manufacturers and farmers to fairly export their goods. Lower rates and loosen, Fed. And then 34 minutes ago, the president tweeted, U.S. markets are up as much as 21% since the announcement of tariffs on 3/1/2018. And the U.S. is taking in massive amounts of money and giving some to our farmers who've been targeted by China. Let me target you for relieffactor.com. Where did I do with my bag? There it is. Oh, my goodness. I was a little bit panicked there. My shoulder is killing me. Why? I had a grandkid here this weekend. There we go. relieffactor.com. Pick them up, pick them down, put them up, pick them down. You know, the shoulder goes, and you know what? We're terrific to take relieffactor.com when they're little. I mean, when they're really tiny, you don't even think about it because it's only, 30 pounds or something like that. But if you do it enough, it gets your back and it gets, in my case, the shoulder that I fell on. So I'm telling you right now, relieffactor.com. I carry in curcumin, resveratrol, omega. Go get your automatically delivered subscription to relieffactor.com. Try it for 3 weeks with the starter pack, and then let me know what you think. Relieffactor.com, $19.95. Get you started. Salena Zito is next on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Portions of The Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you in part by the Salvation Army.
The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
I loved reading Salena Zito's latest for the Washington Examiner called In the Nicest Place in America, Community Thrives. Salena Zito, good morning. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Good morning. I did have a great Thanksgiving. My whole family was there, and they ate too much, and it was awesome. And, got to see Santa Claus, too, with my grandchildren.
There you go.
Yeah.
We had 18. The fetching Mrs. Hewitt presided over 18 in our little tiny footprint of a house inside the Beltway. But that's the best kind of Thanksgiving, when kids are underfoot and there's a lot of food on the table. I love this story about Columbiana. Now, I must admit, I only have seen Columbiana on Channel 21, 27, and 33 as a place where tornadoes always sit down. So you went to Columbiana.
True.
Why is it? It is always Columbiana was like Tornado Alley. Why is Columbiana on the corner of Mahoning and Columbiana County the nicest place in America?
Well, it has a lot to do with the people, and it's not. And I shouldn't say it doesn't come naturally, but what they do is they work really hard at it. They were designated the nicest place in America by Reader's Digest. And the whole thing came about because of a 91-year-old grandmother who sent a letter to Reader's Digest talking about this new Crown Theater who a couple times a year allows productions using people with disabilities. And it doesn't matter what age they are. They could be 2, they could be 72. And they put on these beautiful productions in an old rehabilitated theater right on Main Street. And it's just sort of the center and the core of who these people are in this town. And while a lot of towns are on their knees in that part of Ohio, Columbiana has understood, the people that live there that have understood that you don't get up off your knees unless everybody participates in one way or another. So
you quote the city manager as saying, "I've had other communities call us Salem, Lisbon, East Liverpool, Latonia, Warren, Zanesville. These are the stories, towns of my life." And they're saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing up there?" What are they doing up there?
Well, they're making sure that they're well, first of all, they understand how to get grants to help with the infrastructure. And that's important because good roads and good transportation and good water and sewer, as unsexy as they sound, those are the foundations for building a town back up. And they've worked on that for the past 5 years. They also have a great city council. It's in the city charter that you can never have no political party can have a supermajority. So there's 3 council members. I mean, there's 6 council members. You can't ever have 3 of more than one party. And so they work together really well, and I think that's incredibly key. The mayor is just sort of a figurehead. The city manager is appointed by council, and that position is non-political. So they take politics out of getting things done that are necessary, like infrastructure. But they've also worked with landlords of abandoned buildings. Well, I shouldn't say abandoned buildings, but buildings that have been shuttered to bring in either pop-up or multi-use retail spaces. And you should see the town square. I mean, it's hard to find a place that's shuttered up because of being that innovative.
Yeah,
and also they have a lot of faith-based and community activity, the civic organizations like Elks and Moose and American Legion that are vibrant.
Now, did you see any red kettles for the Salvation Army? I have the online red kettle over at HughHewitt.com, so I'm just curious. Did you see any red kettles in Columbiana?
Yes, there were 2 that I saw. I mean, it's not a huge town. Only 6,200. But, they had this great Christmas parade where they had thousands of people. I think everyone in town was there. Literally everyone in town was there, from every neighbor in town.
It is a wonderful column. It's at Washington Examiner. I have tweeted it out. Follow Salena Zito yourself, Salena Zito at Twitter. She was gracious. She did not bring up the Steelers. And so thank you for that. We can talk about Ohio State being number 1 in the country and beating Michigan, but we're not allowed to talk about the Brown-Steeler game yesterday. Salena, have a great Cyber Monday. Hey, America, celebrate your Cyber Monday at HughHewitt.com. Start your online shopping with an online donation at the Salvation Army Red Kettle. And I know you just did anonymously, $500. Thank you, Mark Linville, 52, Garen Pilgrim, 20, Andrew Presto, 104, Bruce Johnson, 10. Thank you all. The Red Kettle is at HughHewitt.com at the top. Start your best Cyber Monday ever with a donation to the Red Kettle. I'll be right back. Hour number 2 of the Hugh Hewitt Show straight ahead.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you in part by Birch Gold Group.
Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 6 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 5 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
America, bonjour, hi, Canada, greetings everyone listening in Israel, and of course our friends in the PRC, good morning. It's the story of your life. You know, I had to find a new bump to open the show, so I wrote John Androzek a 5 for fighting. He said, can I use story? I said, by all means. The story of your life is right here. It's breaking news plus analysis, the news you have to have, the analysis you want. And, of course, news on the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Cleveland Browns, good and bad this weekend. And, of course, the Indians in season. The Cavaliers every 25 years. I am doing this on Cyber Monday, and the British people vote in 11 days, 10 days, 12. And I had a friend come up to me last week and say, I never knew I cared so much about the United Kingdom elections. And they have become to care, and Matthew Elliott will join us a little bit later in the show at the bottom of the hour. In fact, let me play for you. It's Boris Johnson versus Jeremy Corbyn. Brexit has collapsed. Nigel Farage should just go away. Scottish National Party is a bunch of cranks. The Greens are not in power there. The Welsh have a tiny little party. It's really, and the Liberal Democrats are falling apart. And Joe Swinson, their leader, is just a complete crank. And so is it Jeremy Corbyn, basically a communist, and I don't say that in the old red baiting way. He's just a Marxist-Leninist. Maybe he would say he's only a Marxist and not a Leninist, but he's way out there, way beyond the left edge. And then we've got Boris Johnson, who appears to me to be as ebullient as Churchill, as brilliant as Anthony Eden, as engaged as Little Mac, as wonderful as any of the other prime ministers you've seen on The Crown. Here is Boris Johnson being drilled on the Andrew Marr BBC show yesterday, cut number 9.
Metropolitan Police are continuing their investigations, and I can assure you and assure everyone that anybody involved in this crime, in these attacks, will be hunted down and will be brought to justice. And I think the message that we send to them and anyone associated with this type of attack is one that will be familiar, and that is that this country will never be cowed or divided or intimidated by this sort of attack, and our values, our British values, will prevail.
That was not on Andrew Marr. I believe this one is. He's talking about whether or not there will be a customs barrier on the Irish Sea, or if Northern Ireland is in any way being penalized by the Brexit deal that Boris Johnson quite amazingly got from the EU once they realized he was going to crash out if they didn't do a real deal. Cut number 10.
On Brexit, will there be tariffs and checks on goods moving from Northern Ireland into Great Britain?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
That's not what your Brexit secretary says, and he's looked at the law and he says there will have to be checks.
No.
So Stephen Barclay is wrong about that.
The beauty of our
Stephen Barclay is your Brexit secretary.
Yes.
He said the exit summary declarations will be required in terms of Northern Ireland and Great Britain.
There will be no
He's wrong
tariffs.
about that.
No, absolutely. There will be no tariffs and there will be no checks. And what we will ensure is that the whole of the UK, Northern Ireland and the rest of us can come out. And the advantage of
talking about paperwork, which is going to affect Northern Ireland businesses both ways.
The advantage of the Conservative this election is we have 635 candidates who have all signed up, and they haven't been lobotomized, Andrew. They've all signed up perfectly freely from all spectrum for the
Behind your deal.
a very, very good deal, which
Behind
enables us
agreement.
to come out on January the 31st. It's a great deal for our country. We want to get it done. If we can get in with a working majority...
I'm sorry, let me ask you...
Andrew Marr was the rudest I've ever seen him. He's normally a very good interviewer. And I'll tell you what's happening in Great Britain. Unfortunately, the same thing that has happened to a lot of American media is that the elite of British media thinks they are better than the voters. They believe themselves to be smarter. They are certainly more entitled, and they are more arrogant than the average voter. And they interrupt the people that the voter wants to hear talk, Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn. And as a result, the media class is becoming the object of scorn in Great Britain, as it is widely in the United States. Jeremy Corbyn, captured on Iranian TV, blasting the BBC. I don't know when this happened, but it's a Jeremy Corbyn clip, cut number 11.
There is pressure on the BBC from probably Mark Thompson, who seems to me to have an agenda in this respect. There seems to be a great deal of pressure on the BBC from the Israeli government and the Israeli embassy, and they are very assertive towards all journalists and the BBC itself. They challenge every single thing on reporting the whole time. I think there is a bias towards saying that Israel is a democracy in the Middle East. Israel has a right to exist. Israel has its security concerns.
BBC is biased towards hiring people that believe in Israel's right to exist. That's Jeremy Corbyn. I cannot believe the Brits are going to vote for him. Here he is with Sophie Ridge. Jeremy Corbyn on the second Brexit referendum. He has proposed cut number 11.
Yes.
Cut number 12.
Because this country's got to come together. We can't be forever negotiating how people voted and debating how people voted in 2016.
Will you actually vote in the referendum?
Can we come on to what the referendum's going to say first? Because we will put a decision to the British people that we will have negotiated with the EU, which will be a trade relationship, which will be protection of the Good Friday Agreement and our rights, but it will be outside the EU, will not be members of the EU. Then we'll put that alongside Remain. And so that way, the people can make a decision. My role would be the honest broker of bringing people together in order to carry out that decision.
Would you vote in the referendum?
Yeah.
Would you tell us at the time how you're going to vote?
You have to wait and see.
So you can't even tell us how you're going to vote at the time?
Listen, I want to negotiate a deal with the European Union that does protect manufacturing industry, trade and jobs, and does protect the trade relationship that we have with Europe. Because if we go down the road that the Prime Minister is taking us to, with this sweetheart deal with the United States, there's going to be huge threats to industry all around the
Just
country.
talking about the deal that you want to negotiate.
That would be outside membership of the EU, but would maintain trade.
My God, the more you see Jeremy Corbyn, the less likely he is to ever persuade you to vote for him, because he will not answer a question. Jan Gennaro, who runs the Wild Adventure, TWA.US, big sponsor of this show, and for years he's been on this show on Groundhog's Day. But this year on Cyber Monday, I'm playing the testimonials of the men who've been up to Montana with him over the years. This is from last summer. Tim Jacobs, cut number 17. Why you ought to send your father, your brother, your husband, your friend on the Wild Adventure, cut number 17.
So I'm standing here with
Tim Jacobs.
Where are you from, Tim?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, and where are you now?
Well, right now I'm in this majestic, beautiful, amazing place where God speaks.
You're kidding, and what are you doing there?
Well, I've had the time of my life, and it's been fantastic. It's rekindled my soul in so many ways, and it's been an absolute privilege to be here.
Really? So, what are you at?
What am I at?
Yeah.
I'm at the Smiling Moose Lodge.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
So, how'd you hear about this?
I'm a Hugh Hewitt baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hugh Hewitt!
No.
That guy is everywhere.
He is everywhere. You can't get away from him.
So, what? You heard about this?
Yeah, so for several years, I heard you on the radio, and you seem like a really happy guy. And
a little mentally off, but
maybe so, but so am I. So I kept listening to it over and over, and I thought, you know, that would be something that down the road, many years from now, maybe I'll do that. And earlier this year, I got to the place where I realized I needed something. I needed to get away. I needed to figure some stuff out. And the wild adventure popped into my mind, and typed it into the computer and saw the first picture on the screen and said, that's it, I gotta go.
And so how was it?
It was fantastic.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Have you ever been on anything like
Go
this
to
before?
the Wild Adventure, TWA.us, and see what Tim Jacobs saw. All right. When you go to TWA.us, you'll see that first picture and you'll say, I'm going to go there. Tom Hahn, 19.
So I'm standing here with
Tom Hahn from Durham, North Carolina.
And where are you right now, Tom?
I'm at the Smiling Moose Lodge in
Where's
Montana.
that? Montana?
It's in Montana.
What are you doing in Montana?
Fly fishing and spending some time with some guys.
Really?
Yeah.
So how was it?
It was great.
Really?
Wonderful time. Great company, great fishing, great food.
Have you been on something like this before?
I have.
Really?
I was here last year, so it's my second year.
Really?
Yep.
So then you're a veteran. If you've been on this before, what new thing did you kind of get this year?
I think last year I had a lot of transition in my career, so I spent a lot of time thinking and praying about that. And I think this year it was more about transition in my personal life and kind of looking at the next phase and loving my wife well and thinking about my role as a father.
There you go. Does that sound like someone you know could use the Wild Adventure? TWA.us. Go and sign up. You always complain that there aren't enough slots. Well, go sign up today. TWA.us.
The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Thank you, Keith Madelung, for your donation in the last 12 minutes to the Salvation Army Red Kettle at HughHewitt.com. 490 people have donated, and I would love to get to 600 today. I would love to make $250,000 for the Salvation Army. We're at $86,585. Every $5 contribution, every $50, every $500, every $5,000. Hey, if you can give $500,000 and you're listening, bring it on. The Red Kettle is big. It's infinite. And the need in this country so immense. And the Salvation Army does the most good with the lost and the least. Thank you. Coming up after the break, Matthew Elliott. Let me run through the headlines for you this morning. The president is rejecting participation in the House Judiciary Committee's proceedings. Good for him. Trump's lawyers won't participate, according to the New York Times. Good. Fred Barnes notes that the Democrats are still looking for a crime, and it is a sham. Silly. Pete Buttigieg ahead and gaining in Iowa and New Hampshire. Wall Street Journal with troubling news. China and Russia have opened up a $55 billion gas pipeline. General Secretary Xi has played the Russia card on us, and we didn't even know it. And in Iran, pray for the people of Iran, the greatest uprising in 40 years, and the murderous Iranian Revolutionary Guard is mowing people down in the street. New York Times knows at least 180 people are dead. Imagine that. Kent State was 4 dead. 180 people shot all over the country. And the British election underway. We will talk more about that with Matthew Elliott after the break. This is Cyber Monday. People go online to shop. I am telling people, do your friends a favor. If you're a guy and you want to give your son or your brother or your father the best gift possible, send them or go with them on the wild adventure. TWA.us. TWA.us. Jan Gennaro started this 40 years ago. It is an amazing fly fishing trip. I've gone 3 times, and I just think people will love Montana and love the fellowship. Here is Thomas Taylor talking with Jan, cut number 16.
So I'm here with
Thomas Taylor.
Thomas, where are you from?
Belmont, North Carolina.
And where are you now?
I am at the Wild Adventure in Montana.
Really? What's the Wild Adventure?
It is a great place to come and get in touch with yourself and your walk with Christ. It's a great place to reconnect with a band of brothers that help you through that journey, to understand you're not alone with that journey. And
sounds a little like a retreat to me. It's not a retreat, is it?
It's better than a retreat. We get to go fishing. We get great food, great wine, great time as well.
Have you ever been on anything like this before?
I have not. This is my first time actually spending time in Montana and being in a place that you could truly be raw and be yourself.
So how was it?
Fantastic. I would do it again tomorrow. I'd stay here forever if Jan would let me.
So I was in an organization that measured everything by take-home value. What's the take-home value for you from this week?
Immeasurable. If we had to talk about analytics, and immeasurable for what it's allowed me and gave me the tools to be a better man, to be a better husband, to be a better father, to know that the battle is real, and to recognize when the battle's coming, and give me better tools to fight that battle.
That's huge stuff.
It is huge stuff.
Well, good for you, man.
Thank you so much.
Glad it was a great week.
Here's another one. Chip Coombs talking to Jan Gennaro, cut number 20.
So I'm here with
Chip Combs.
Chip, where are you from?
Barrington, Illinois.
Barrington, Illinois. I grew up close to Barrington.
That's right.
In Hinsdale.
Yeah.
And where are you right now?
I'm at Smiling Moose Lodge in Montana.
What are you doing there?
Yeah. Having a great time with a bunch of great guys.
Really?
Yeah.
And who got you here?
David Spence.
David Spence! Oh, boy, well, you're brave. Anyway, did you have any idea what you're going to be doing?
Absolutely none, except Well, almost none, because I didn't have much preparation. They sent out great emails about information on what was expected, but for me, I only decided to come last Thursday when one of the guys couldn't come. So I'm an interloper at the last minute, and the emails I read all at one time.
Now, don't do that.
Unbelievable.
Go inside. There are only 144 slots, and you cannot count on there being one waiting for you. Your name is on one, but you got to go now to twa.us. You'll thank me. A lot of these guys did. I didn't know Jan was going to ask him about me, but twa.us, and then come right back, America. Matthew Elliott joins me from the United Kingdom next.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you in part by No Safe Spaces.
The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 45 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling
Welcome back,
you
America. It's Hugh Hewitt. It's doubly the most wonderful time of the year because not only do we have Christmas, we have an election, a general election in the United Kingdom, which is just, crack cocaine for the politically addicted. And we have as our guide through the ups and downs of the campaign, Matthew Elliott, one of the brains behind the Leave campaign, now the editor-at-large of BrexitCentral.com and a consultant to many fine, smart people throughout the United Kingdom. Good morning, Matthew. Happy December to you.
Good morning, Hugh, and happy Thanksgiving if it's not too late.
Years ago, I took the fetching Mrs. Hewitt and I said, a Dickens Christmas sounds wonderful to me. Let's go to London in December and experience a Dickens Christmas. It was the most miserable weather we've ever had on a vacation. We were frozen head to toe. This was all false advertising by Dickens.
The trouble is the snow tends to come in sort of late January, February. So December tends to be rain and dark and miserable.
That is exactly what it was. So how goes an election in the rainy, dark, miserable December?
It's been quite tough on the campaigners when it comes to things like door-to-door canvassing. It's quite tough for them. But what's really interesting is how Facebook advertising is now bigger than ever in this campaign. And we're starting to see all of the parties now splurge a lot of money over the final 10 days of the campaign on their Facebook ads. So we'll see how that changes the race. But at the moment, things look pretty good for Boris. He's still got his lead. It still looks like he'll get a majority, but things definitely are tightening.
Now, I was looking this morning at the Telegraph's pipeline of news, and they put Boris up a couple of points, Labour up a couple of points, but still a double-digit lead for the Tories. I've read other polls that say it's down to 6. What's your sense of the situation, Matthew Elliott?
Well, there's certainly a big spread. As you say, at the bottom end, you have leads of 6%. At the top end, there was one yesterday saying 13% lead. Now, the big guru in polling in the UK is Professor John Curtis, and he's adamant that so long as the lead is 6% or more, then Boris will get a majority. So all of the polls are pointing towards the majority at the moment. But two factors will be keeping people in the Conservative Party up at night. They are, first of all, the prevalence of tactical voting. There's indications that people will be voting on a tactical basis in certain seats. So, for example, the Foreign Secretary, Dom Raab, is facing an opposition from the Liberal Democrats. And you get Alistair Campbell, who used to work for Tony Blair, telling Labour voters in Esher, his seat, to vote Lib Dem. So that tactical voting will be big. And the other big question is, there are 23% of voters who are undecided at the moment, according to the latest YouGov poll. Now, how many of those voters are not undecided, but actually perhaps shy Labour voters? I've got a feeling that because Corbyn Jeremy Corbyn, the Labour leader, is so terrible, there might be a shy Labour voter factor out there that could kick in on voting day and could see their numbers polling higher than the polling suggests.
Now, Matthew Elliott, I was watching with the Fetching Mrs. Hewitt last night, the first installment in the third season of The Crown, when Harold Wilson becomes the prime minister. And I was thinking to myself, Harold Wilson is sort of like an old Democrat in the United States, so different from Jeremy Corbyn. The Labour Party isn't what it was when Winston Churchill was alive and worried about its drift to the left. It's actually gone over the cliff.
You're absolutely right on that. It really is a hard left Marxist party now. And when the Conservatives say that, it's not an insult. They are literally along those lines. And actually, Jeremy Corbyn and his Chancellor, John McDonnell, would actually wear that with a badge of pride. They love that fact. And just today in the headlines, the Labour Party has announced that they want to cut rail fares by a third, and they want to give free rail fares for under 16-year-olds. Again, this wasn't in their manifesto. There's no indication of how they're going to pay for this. So what we're going to see in the final 10 days of the campaign is the Labour Party saying even more things will be free from the government. Now, I am actually quite confident that voters won't be fooled by this. Voters are actually quite smart. There's a poll last week that suggested that only, I think it was 17% of people thought that the Labour Party's proposals were achievable and affordable. So actually, I think voters can see through these promises. But there's always that worry at the back of my mind. Will they be fooled by it? Will they inch towards Labour on polling day? Or will some Labour voters who need to vote for Boris to get him in actually stay at home?
Now, Matthew Elliott, I have to apologize. I ought to have begun this segment by recognizing the terror attack on London Bridge, the loss of 2 valiant Britons, the wounding of others, the bravery of the 3 men who stopped the terrorists. I ought to have said that, but 2 days in the news cycle is an endless amount, and unfortunately, we're becoming used to this, especially on the bridges in the downtown of London. What is its impact, if any, on a general election, and what has it done to the mood of the country?
You're right. Things do move on very quickly now, and in the UK news cycle as well, there was a slight pause whilst all the politicians paid their respects. But by Sunday, it has really been charged as a political issue, and both sides were blaming each other. The Labour Party saying, well, you've been in power for 10 years, it's your issue. The Conservative Party saying, well, he was charged under your sentencing regime, it's your issue. So really it is a party political issue now. How it will play out is anybody's guess. But I've got a feeling that when voters consider who would they rather have as Home Secretary looking after national security, would they rather have Priti Patel or Diane Abbott? I know the vast majority will want to go for Priti Patel. So I think, if anything, in political terms, it will help the Conservative Party, particularly because Jeremy Corbyn, even in his own words this weekend in his interviews on the Sunday talk shows, he is weak on security. He is happy to allow terrorists to be released from prison before they finish their full terms in jail. So he's pretty weak on this. I think it should actually help the Conservatives overall.
Matthew Elliott, can you explain who Priti Patel is, and do so in the context of a Tory cabinet, including Sajid Javid and many other, that is as diverse as any British cabinet I've ever seen?
Very much so. So Priti Patel has been a Conservative Member of Parliament, I think, from memory, since 2005. Her family came to the UK in the, I'm guessing, the 1970s. They were from Uganda, so part of the Ugandan Asian community who had to flee as refugees, and Britain accepted them as refugees in the UK. Sajid Javid, a similar story. I worked very closely with him early this year, co-chairing his leadership election campaign, and his family came to the UK again in the 1970s from Pakistan. His grandfather was $1 a day farmer in Pakistan, and now they came to the UK. His mum and dad ran a shop in various parts of the country, in a market stall. He then went to university. He became the youngest ever vice president of JP Morgan. did very well professionally before going to politics, and Rishi Sunak, who's been representing the Conservative Party in many debates this time round. He's the deputy to Sajid in the Treasury, and he's the chief secretary of the Treasury. Again, he comes from an ethnic minority background, and what it shows is that actually the Conservative Party doesn't need to have quotas to have female leaders, doesn't need to have quotas to have ethnic minority candidates, so have people at the very top of the party from ethnic minority backgrounds. We recognise merit. We promote people on the basis of meritocracy, and all three of them are doing absolutely superb jobs in their various departments, and I'm sure will rise even higher in the years to come.
Matthew Elliott, I want to close by talking about British media. In the United States, Manhattan Beltway elite media is now viewed not as an objective observer, but as a participant, as an arm generally, almost overwhelmingly, of the Democratic Party. After watching the Andrew Marr attack on Boris Johnson yesterday, I'm coming to the conclusion, and I think that was fueled by his desire to please his peers, that the British media has gone the same way generally. There will be exceptions to that rule, but am I right that the media itself may become an issue in the minds of the British electorate?
Well, newspapers are definitely partisan and split into, there are two which are basically more Labour, and then a lot of them are more sort of pro-Conservative this time around. But broadcasters, you're right, there are whole questions about impartiality this time around. One key difference between the UK and the US, having debates is quite a new thing in UK elections. It only really came in the 2010 general election. So it's a very new thing. And I think next time around, there might need to be a debate commission to oversee the debates on all the broadcasters. There's been some questions about the fairness of it, and some people signing up to certain debates and not wanting to do others. So I think that role will be formalised in the next general election to, again, make it a bit more partial. But, again, the key questions to be asked, not just by the BBC, but also there's a channel called Channel 4, which, again, is subsidised by the taxpayer largely, but they are very, very left-wing. And I think quite rightly the Conservative Party are boycotting it at the moment and not placing guests on their shows.
You know, I do believe you're going to go in the direction we went in 2016, where the parties themselves control and the broadcasters do not. Let me close by asking you about the energy level of the Prime Minister, because it matters so much that you have a closing kick, as they say in track and field. Does he have a closing kick?
I think he does. Of course, it's got a very tough 10 days coming up, not least because this week is the NATO summit in the UK, and President Trump will be arriving here this evening and will be in London until Wednesday evening. So he's seeing lots of different heads of government and heads of state over the next few days as they celebrate 70 years of NATO. So that will take a lot of bandwidth. Of course, there's the whole bandwidth covering the aftermath of the terror attack on Friday. Again, there'll be meetings with Cobra. That will be taking a lot of his time. He'll possibly have an interview with Andrew Neil, the sort of fiercest presenter on TV, on BBC TV, later on this week. And then, of course, the final stretch of the campaign. The one thing I know, having campaigned with Boris during the EU referendum, is he has a sixth and seventh gear, and he has boundless energy, boundless positivity, and I know he won't be flagging the final stretch of the campaign.
Matthew Elliott, always a pleasure. Follow him on Twitter at Matthew_Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, and at Brexit Central. Thank you, Matthew. Time for me to remind you for the second time today, ReliefFactor.com. I put the bag down. There it is. If you're watching on Univision or on TownHallTV.com, there it is. And I would encourage you to give it a try. You might even give it as a Christmas present on this Cyber Monday, because ReliefFactor.com does wonders for those of you who are hurting in the minor ways that attend aging and exercise. And if you're in one of those terrible commutes somewhere, you're definitely going to want to try and make ReliefFactor.com a part of your daily life. ReliefFactor.com is like carrying curcumin, resveratrol, and omega, the 4 natural supplements that you need every single day in your life. You should try it today. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com. Also, remember during the break, the Salvation Army has got a red kettle up and running at HughHewitt.com, and many of you have already given. I need thousands of you to do so because, Chick-fil-A tossed out the Salvation Army this year, so they have to make up a big hole in the budget. Hopefully, this radio audience will be part of that rallying to the Salvation Army. Head over to HughHewitt.com. The red kettle is at the very top of HughHewitt.com. And I want to thank Tom Warner, Kelly Kremen, Joseph Redl. Thank you.
Okay, so I cut up the rest.
The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt on Cyber Monday 2019. So great to have you with us on this wonderful, wonderful Cyber Monday. Time to check the markets. Brought to you by Birch Gold. Birch Gold is where you go to add some gold to your holdings or diversify your IRA and 401k into a physical metals. Not all of it. I'm not one of those guys that buy everything in gold. No. But diversify. Put 10 to 30% into precious metals of your retirement or physical asset. You can get both from Birch Gold. And how do you find Birch Gold? You go to hughgold.com, H-U-G-H gold.com. Thousands of satisfied customers, countless 5-star reviews, an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. I trust them. You can trust them. And if you want to diversify by rolling over all or part of your IRA or 401k into a physical metals-backed precious metals IRA, they are definitely your best bet. Hugh Gold, H-U-G-H gold.com, hughgold.com. Let's check those markets an hour and a half before they get going. On Friday, the Dow was down 112, the Nasdaq was off 40, and the S&P down 12, but nobody noticed because it was a half day of trading and everyone was on their way to grandmother's house. Well, the traders are back, and everything is green this morning. The S&P is up 4, the Nasdaq up 9, the Dow up 46. Overnight, the Japanese index was down 0.5%, but Hong Kong began to rebound after a bad week last week. Light crude is at $55. Gold, since Birch Gold is bringing you, what an entry point, $14.63. It's a good day to get gold. HughGold.com. I mean, a really good day to get gold. $14.63 is just a terrific time to go to HughGold.com and diversify that portfolio. I told you that people went crazy shopping on Friday. From the Wall Street Journal, the numbers were just astonishing how much people shopped, up almost $1.2 billion over year. And it's going to continue today on Cyber Monday. Today is the day it's big. They put all the cyber specials at Amazon and on all the other Target, Walmart, all of them. It's the day that people shop online. It's also the day that I tell you there's a gift you can't have delivered. There's a gift that people can only go to. That's the wild adventure. It's only for men. You or your friend or your husband or your son or your grandson. Send them to Montana for 4 days of fly fishing and serious, great conversation, wonderful food. Been playing some testimonials about it. Here is Michael Powers talking with Jan Gennaro, who put it together 40 years ago, and it keeps running in Montana, God's country, cut 21.
So I'm standing here with
Michael Powers.
Where are you from, Michael?
La Cañada.
La Cañada?
Yeah, California.
Do you know who used to live in La Cañada?
Who's that?
Our new national security guy.
Yep.
Do you know Robert?
You also know that he's from Santa Rosa.
Really?
Which is where I grew up.
So do you guys know each other?
No.
Oh.
No.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. I hope so.
He is. He's a really good guy. And he's known this stuff, and he's known about naval stuff forever. In fact, they've called on him as an expert for many years. So
I hope he speaks his mind.
He does. Well, yeah. Well.
No, speaks what he thinks is the right thing to do.
He'll do that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, where are you standing right now?
Smiling Moose Lodge, Montana.
What are you doing there?
A week at Wild Adventure.
Really?
Yes.
What's the Wild Adventure?
It's just a week where you get to come up to this beautiful place and fish, have a lot of fellowship, try to find out what God is talking about and what he's talking to you about.
So how'd you hear about this?
My wife.
Your wife?
Yeah.
Great. Who'd she hear about it from?
What's his name? Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt?
Yeah, she listens to the show and just said to me, you should go. And I signed up the next week.
Really?
Yeah.
So have you ever been on a thing like this?
No.
Really?
No.
So how was it?
It was wonderful.
Really? Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you say, have you ever been on something like this? And guys go, no, not at all. You're kind of worried.
It was a really special week.
Great. So I was in a group that measured everything by take-home value. What's the take-home value for you from this week?
Oh, as in, how do you want to measure take-home value? I don't know if you can measure it.
What was the biggest?
You can't put a dollar sense or a grade or whatever. It means different things to different people. But I would just say it was beyond my expectations, and I'm in a better place today than I was last Monday.
That's all you need to know, and all you need to do is go to twa.us. A lot of people do hear it about the show because for years, Jan and I did a Groundhog Day show about the Wild Adventure. We no longer do that because I got to bring you breaking news in the morning, like, for example, what's going on with the president saying he is not going to participate in this impeachment hearing. But just because I do that doesn't mean you can't go to twa.us And all the testimonials are posted there. Scroll around. I warn you, there are only 144 slots over 12 weeks, 12 guys at a time. The fishing is superb. The food is superb. You can't beat the Madison River Valley. You can't beat Jan and his team. Go to twa.us and sign up. Give the gift of renewal to someone in your life who's a guy. And I'll be right back, America. Hour number 3 of Cyber Monday 2019 is next on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Portions of The Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you in part by the Salvation Army.
Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns for break in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
America, morning glory, bonjour, hi, Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt on Cyber Monday 2019. I want to start with a story that posted 3 hours ago at the New York Times. It's heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. And it ties into my Salvation Army campaign, which is available to you over at hughhewitt.com. The red kettle is at the top. Ties into the Wild Adventure, in fact, twa.us. It ties into everything because it's about everyone. The title of the story is The Class of 2000 Could Have Been Anything. The high school yearbook is a staple of teenage life, but for some it reflects the devastating toll of the opioid crisis. Dan Levin wrote this. It posted 3 hours ago. The Minford High School class of 2000 in rural Minford, Ohio, began its freshman year as a typical class. It had its jocks and its cheerleaders, its slackers, its overachievers. But by the time the group entered its final years, its members said painkillers were nearly ubiquitous, found in classrooms, school bathrooms, and at weekend parties. Over the next decade, Scioto County, which includes Minford, would become ground zero in the state's fight against opioids. It would lead Ohio with its rates of fatal drug overdoses, drug-related incarcerations, babies born with neonatal abstinence syndrome. To understand both the scope and the devastating consequence of what is now a public health crisis, we talked to a dozen members of the class of 2000. Many opened up to us about their struggles with addiction, whether their own or their relatives. They told us about the years lost to getting high and in cycling in and out of jail, prison, and rehab. They mourned the 3 classmates whose addictions killed them. In all the interviews, one thing was clear. Opioids have spared relatively no one in Scioto County. Everyone appears to know someone whose life has been affected by addiction. Go on and read the whole thing. I just tweeted it out. The scale and scope of America's opioid plague is similar to that, and that includes heroin and OxyContin and Vicodin and everything else, Tramadol. It includes everything. It also includes, you can add into the addicted category, cocaine and any other kind of drug. You can add in alcohol. The one group that takes care of them all, that is open to everyone, regardless of race and age and gender, regardless of sexual orientation, religious belief or no religious belief, the one group that opens its door to everyone, regardless of whether you have $1 or millions, is the Salvation Army. Which is why I was genuinely shocked that Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy's group, I don't think Dan had anything to do with the company anymore. Genuinely shocked that they walked away from the Salvation Army, because the Salvation Army walks away from nobody. I'm very proud every year to do this campaign for them. And I'm begging you, for the benefit of all those people in Minford and across the country who are addicted and nowhere to go, who are out of luck and out of chances and out of hope, the Salvation Army never gives up on you. Never. And this audience in the pre-campaign, today is the first day of the campaign. Officially, it's December, the first broadcast day in December. But I started it a week early because of the Chick-fil-A decision to toss them out. In the first few days, almost 500 of you have donated $86,870. Some of you have given $5,000. Some of you have given $5,000. Fetching Mrs. Hewitt and I doubled our donation this year, and I wish you would consider doing that as well, or giving twice, because it is absolutely an epidemic, and the Salvation Army is on the front line, and they do the most good. Go to hughhewitt.com. The red kettle is at the donate now. Let me go back to the presidential campaign, if I could. Joe Biden in the news. Look, the corn pop video is months old, but we were listening mostly. This is where Joe Biden went back to a city pool that he lifeguarded at. I don't know if it's in Scranton or Delaware. It was just the weirdest rambling, but I hadn't seen the whole thing. I'd only seen the part where he's talking about his friend Corn Pop. And that was nutty enough. But a new excerpt popped up this weekend. I knew it was an old video because I could see the setting. It was at the swimming pool. And everywhere, it went viral this weekend. Joe Biden, well, you just got to hear it to believe it. Cut number 1 from, I think, April.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down So it was traded and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And look, I speak Joe Biden like I speak Donald Trump. What Joe Biden intends to say is what I can say about my years lifeguarding at Waddell Pool at Terrace North, my year managing Packard Park Metropolitan Urban Pool, is that you learn about every sort of kid. I mean, from the kids with no money and think they can swim on the first day of swimming because they're a year older and they jump in the pool and they go right to the bottom. You always put your guards out in force in the first hour that the pool opens around because you're just making saves. You're spearfishing kids because they're all going right. I'm a year older. I can swim. And you meet all sorts of children. And indeed, small children idolize lifeguards. So it has always been, so it will always be. They idolize. I just had a family member pin on their trident. They were pinned last week, and there were some small boys there, and they idolize them, and they idolize fighter pilots, and they idolize policemen and firemen, and they idolize lifeguards. So I understand what Joe is saying. Kids just swarm all over lifeguards. But Joe can't say it anymore. He can't explain it anymore. He's too doggone old. It's not a question of number of years. I don't think Michael Bloomberg is too old, and I don't think Donald Trump is too old, and I don't think Elizabeth Warren is too old. I think Joe Biden is. He also went out of his way to describe his health care plan this weekend in an unusual way. Cut number 2.
And I think we can make sure that everybody has total access to health care. It is affordable. No deductibles more than $1,000, even if you can afford insurance. Be in a position where you, in fact, have, if you don't have the money, you're automatically able to enroll in Obamacare. Now it's going to be called Biden Care if I get it passed.
That's not really what you want it to be known as. But Joe is Joe. Then he goes on the Iowa stump, and he makes another gaffe. He's never met Kim Jong-un. Never, ever. Not happened. Is it's a fact. Fact check this, everybody. Cut number 8.
Training. You're going to have to assume that position the moment they're sworn in on January the 20th and know the rest of the world knows that person, in this case me, and that I know them. Putin has no illusions about whether I know him or not. Kim Jong-un has no person that I know him or not. The same with the president of China, Xi Jinping. Spent a lot of time with these folks. They know.
Actually, Joe Biden has never spent a second, not a second, with Kim Jong-un. Boy, is he falling apart. A few seconds ago, Robert Kubik donated $1,040 to the Salvation Army. Thank you, Robert. A few seconds ago, Robert and Marianne Bonner donated $500. Thank you. Dave McCarran, 4 minutes ago, gave $40. Robert Dieter donated $52 a few minutes ago. An anonymous donation of $50 was made a few minutes ago. 14 minutes ago, Richard Schultz gave $57.20. I don't know why, but God bless you. David Robideau, $50. Thank you, David. Tom Warner, $52. Thank you. Salvation Army. I'm also pushing hard on Cyber Monday, that which you cannot have delivered, Montana. Send your husband, your son, your father, your grandfather up to Montana on the wild adventure. Here's Paul Clement talking about it with Jan Janura, the founder of the Wild Adventure, TWA.US, cut number 23.
So let me ask you again. I'm standing here with
Paul Clements.
Where are you from, Paul?
I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, and where are you right now?
I am at Smiling Moose Lodge in Montana.
What are you doing there? What are you doing in Montana?
I'm sure everybody else has said this, but this has been the greatest week of my life.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding one bit.
Huh. If we were smart, we'd figure out an acrostic to use for that, but we're not that smart.
That would be good.
Yeah. So, how'd you hear about it?
I heard about it through Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt?
Imagine that. And I was
Imagine that, America. I do not sell what I don't believe in. I've gone 3 times. Radio Blogger's gone. Of course, he's got a lot of time on his hands. If I had a producer, he might not have been able to go. Everybody says the same thing, best week of their life. Now, it's not the best week of your life. Actually, that's getting married or having a child or a grandchild, but it's close to the top. And if you go to TWA.US, you'll see why, and it will sell out this week probably. Don't get left behind. TheWildAdventure.us, the perfect Christmas present for your husband, your son, your father. TWA.us. Don't even ask him. Just send him to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Inside the Beltway, December 3rd at 4:30. I think it's 4:30, 16:30, in the Board Auditorium at the Government Center in Fairfax County, 12,000 Government Center Parkway, Fairfax. There's a presentation asking the Board of Supervisors of Fairfax County to vote to make it a Second Amendment sanctuary county. That's a movement in the country that's going to pick up speed. And it's going to put supervisors on the line, local government officials on the line, about whether they're Second Amendment supporters or not. And if you are and you live in Fairfax County and you're listening to me on AM 570, make a note. December 3rd, 4:30, Board Auditorium of the Government Center. You know what else happened today that is huge? Tonight, I think this is a seismic story. It's so long coming. Norah O'Donnell is making a move on Lester Holt to try and get past Lester. Now, look, I work for NBC and MSNBC, but not a lot. I love doing it, but not a lot. I try and be objective about the news. And I think all of the networks will do this within a year. Norah O'Donnell moves to Washington, D.C. CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell will begin broadcasting from its new permanent home in Washington, D.C., starting Monday, December the 2nd. Broadcasting from Washington will give O'Donnell, the anchor and managing editor of the CBS Evening News, and CBS News journalists the opportunity to be at the heart of some of the biggest issues and stories facing the country right now, according to a press release from CBS. O'Donnell was named the anchor in May, and she and network executives laid out a vision for a broadcast that emphasized unbiased original reporting on important stories. Not sure about unbiased, but they're working at it. The executive producer of CBS Evening News, Jay Shaler, says our move to Washington allows Norah to bring viewers the heart of the story from the center of where everything is happening. And that is absolutely right. If you were going to have the chance to be a broadcast journalist in Rome during the late Republic or the early Empire or Athens, where would you go? You'd go to Rome. And if you could, in the 19th century, broadcast from London or from any Paris, used to be, under the Sun King, it was number one. You'd go to London. You go where the world's decisions are taken and where there is a free press. And that's Washington, D.C. Someday, we can only pray that Beijing may compete, but there isn't a free press there now. So if you want to be in the business and you want to broadcast from Rome, you come to Washington, D.C. If you want to change someone's life, you send them on the wild adventure, twa.us. Here is Ben Boast, cut number 25, talking to Jan Janura about why you ought to give the gift of renewal. TWA, Ben Boast, cut number 25.
So I'm standing here with
Ben Boast.
Where are you from?
Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho?
Yeah.
I know where that's a hot city.
Yeah, it's a great
It's
city.
happening.
Yeah, love it.
And where are you standing right now?
I am standing at Smiling Moose Lodge in Cameron, Montana.
You're kidding. What are you doing there?
I came to a TWA trip.
A TWA?
Wild adventure, yeah.
And how was it?
It was amazing. It's very
Really?
special, very special place, yeah.
Have you ever been on anything like this before?
I've been on various things, but they're always very different, and God has something unique at each one, and this one was a very special time.
It was. So this was a good one.
Oh, yeah, amazing.
Huh. Well, so I was in a group that measured everything by take-home value to the point of ad nauseum. But I got to ask you, what was the big take-home value for you from this week?
Yeah, a big take-home for me was just an affirmation of the things I've been doing for a lot of years, and just a re-energizing of that excitement in my life and being committed to it. The kind of connection you have here with guys never gets old.
Huh.
And then I think there will be lifelong friendships that I've made here that I'll take back. And I cherish that kind of thing immensely in my life.
That has, in fact, happened to a number of my friends who've gone up on the wild adventure. They have become lifelong friends. TWA.us. And I say it again, there are only 144 slots every summer. I tell you about it once a year. This is the week I tell you about it. But you have to go and sign up, or you have to sign up your husband, your son, your father, your best friend. Take someone with you. The Wild Adventure in Big Sky Country, TWA.US. Stay tuned. I am Hugh Hewitt.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show brought to you by Sierra Pacific Mortgage. For more info, call 888-888-1172.
The Hugh Hewitt on the Salem. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns for break in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns for break in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Did you know? Mary, did you know? Did you know? Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you delivered will soon deliver you.
Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt on Cyber Monday. One of the few carols that has really made it into the status of classic. And this version, I believe my friend Walt Hara sings on that. Am I right about that? It is Haven. It's in a great hymn. Now, opposite the great hymn is just the most devastating story in the New York Times this morning by Dan Levin. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Called The Class of 2000 Could Have Been Anything. The high school yearbook is a staple of teenage life, but for some it reflects a devastating toll of the opioid crisis. I have tweeted it out twice, and I just can't stop reading it during the break. All these people, 18 years out, all of them in Minford, Ohio, impacted by opioids. 3 of them are dead. Other people are addicted and in rehab. Quote, I started seeing a lot of pills around 15 years old. I told myself I was never going to do them. The kids were selling oxys at school for $3 a pill. By the time I was 19, I was looking in every medicine cabinet and bathroom. All of my close friends, we all turned into drug addicts. Now, that is a warning to everyone about their prescription pills. You don't leave them in a house where teenagers can go or young adults are addicts. But you also begin to teach your children and your grandchildren from an early age exactly what we always said about strangers and strangers' cars. Don't talk to strangers. Don't ever get in a stranger's car. I mean, I don't know how many times I told that to my kids collectively. Thousands. You got to drive. Never take a pill that isn't given to you by mom, dad, or a doctor. Never take a pill. It's a killer. And it doesn't mean there isn't hope for people. That's why I run the Salvation Army campaign every year. Salvation Army is hope for the lost and the least. And I want to thank just an amazing group of people this morning who are just donating in droves this morning. Maybe because it's Cyber Monday, people are stepping up and saying, before I give to myself or to a family member or a friend. Eddie Andrews donated $104 a minute ago. Charles Tuttle, $50 7 minutes ago. Hall Brody, thank you, Hall. $104 16 minutes ago. $5 was given anonymously 20 minutes ago. That's great. Anonymous $5. God bless you. Robert and Marianne Bonner, $500 22 minutes ago. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Robert Kubik gave $1,040. He can do that. That's great. But then, thank you, Robert. Thank you. $52 was donated anonymously. 24 minutes ago, David McCarran, $40. I don't know how much you should give. I just know you should, whether it's $5 or $5,000 or $500,000, give what you can to save people, because that's what the Salvation Army does. It's also Cyber Monday, and so I play for people some of the testimonials of folks who've gone on the wild adventure, and I say from the bottom of my heart, you might change a man's life. Your husband, your father, your grandson, your child, your best friend, go with him. Everybody who goes. I just don't think I've ever met anyone in the 12 years I've known Jan Gennaro, who founded this 40 years ago, who hasn't said it's among the very best weeks of their life. Zach Aspergran was talking to Jan after his trip this year, cut 22.
Hey, so I'm here with
Zach Aspergran.
Zach Aspergran. Zach, where are you from?
Great job. Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
Yes, sir.
A lot of oil there, isn't there?
There's a lot of oil.
And Austin city limits. And it's a pretty liberal place.
It's very liberal.
Have they started handing out tents like Seattle yet?
No, not yet. Not yet. They've got some great ministries though, serving the homeless.
I just started a foundation where I'm handing out tents in Seattle, but you have to plant them in Bill Gates deal in Madrona on Lake Washington. We'll see how that goes. That'll clean up the problem, I think, real quick.
I like that.
Once they start showing up in your backyard. So where are you right now?
I'm at the Smiling Moose Lodge in wonderful Montana. My first time to Montana.
Yeah, fourth biggest state in the United States. Only got 1 million people.
Yeah, amazing.
35th lowest per capita income, though.
No.
The lowest is Arkansas. But Sarah Huckabee Sanders may change that. So what are you doing here?
Oh, man. I've escaped the real world.
Really?
To experience God.
Really?
In a unique way, a unique setting.
It is unique here. Have you ever been on anything like this weekend before?
I have not, because I don't do things like this.
Me either. And if I do, the rental car's in my name so I can get the hell out. So how was this?
It was truly unbelievable. It was really a great experience. I'm not the typical type of person who gets away and does this kind of stuff. So the uniqueness of it and the beauty of it and the ability to experience God in a personal, intimate way and to listen to his voice in a place with no distractions was amazing.
Great. Yeah, sometimes, like you and I don't like to go to these things because I feel like they kind of are shoveling a lot of stuff down. What I like about this here, it's not that, but it's questions. Like I always say, if you think the mothership is the answer, we'll tie a kite string on you and give you a flashlight. You can go out and look for it. But you got to ask the questions. And if you think that's the answer, good on you.
Yeah, I love that because I think most retreats are someone talking at you.
Exactly.
And then they say, oh, you have 15 minutes between this session and lunch. Go be with the Lord. This is just the opposite. There's a little bit of content, which is important, but it asks the questions, and then you go away and you reflect on your own personal life, because everybody's different, right? So
right.
My struggle is going to be different from somebody else's struggle.
So what was the biggest personal take-home for you that you got out of this week?
It was really just wanting to engage with my wife more.
That's huge.
Needing to be more intentional about that. I will say for the past 22 years, I've been very intentional about raising my children. And I've not been as intentional about loving my wife. And I think that the reality of that this week, and I needed to be away to
It's going to make
that.
it very easy
And
for
the
a lot
reality
of
that.
spouses to send their husbands, I think. TWA.us. It isn't cheap, but it is deeply subsidized. You'll never get 4 days of fly fishing at a fly camp on the fly fishing camp on the Madison River, because Jan just writes a check for everyone who goes to make it possible for everyone to go. And it's for everyone. Former Congressman Jeff Miller among the people who went this year, cut number 32.
So I'm standing here with
former Congressman Jeff Miller.
Former? What did they find out about you?
No, I left before I was defeated, disgraced, or died.
And where are you from?
I'm from the panhandle of Florida, out in northwest Florida, near Pensacola.
And where are you right now?
I am in the most wonderful, magical place in the world.
Disneyland?
Smiling Moose Lodge.
Where is that located?
It is just outside of Ennis, Montana.
Really? What are you doing here?
Trying to get off the grid, trying to reconnect and listen to God talk to me.
Really?
Yes.
So, how was the week?
It was a wonderful week. You couldn't have scripted it any better.
Really?
Having an opportunity to meet men from all across the country, different walks of life, different stations in their life, and all come together centered around one thing.
Really?
Yes.
So, have you ever been on anything like this?
Nothing like this before.
Really?
Nothing.
And that includes you've been in the Congress, so that's quite a statement.
A lot of posers in the Congress.
So I was in an organization that measured everything by take-home value. So I got to ask you, what's the take-home value for you from this week?
The biggest take-home value, I think, is just being able to clear my mind, which is so difficult today. There's so much chatter and noise, and to listen more than talk more, and to know that I am in a battle that's for me, but certainly for the world.
All right, just testimony after testimony. I'll do a couple more in the next segment. Let me check the market, though. Cyber Monday. And as I told you earlier, the news over the weekend is, boy, is the economy good. The president is right to just blow off the impeachment hearing. Say, okay, you guys, we'll see you at the election box next year because the economy is just cooking. $7+ billion spent on Black Friday, and today is Cyber Monday. Now, on Friday, the Dow is down. This is brought to you by Andrew and Todd.com. Andrew Del Rey, Todd Avakian. They are with Sierra Pacific Mortgage. All right, andrewandtodd.com is where you go to get a pre-qualification letter in case you want to buy a home. You want to buy a second home, a vacation home, a rental property. You want to invest. You take your profits off the table of this amazing stock market the president's been tweeting about this morning. And you decide, I'm going to get a rental property for my retirement income. Well, andrewandtodd.com will pre-qualify you. They will walk you through every step. They will tell you how much you can afford to buy, how much you should buy. They're great advisors, but you got to start by going to andrewandtodd.com. If you're deep in debt, but you got equity in your house, andrewandtodd.com. They're with Sierra Pacific Mortgage. They've been lending money for years. They are lenders, not a call center. You can also call them up the old-fashioned way, 888-888-1172. And I really recommend you do. Pre-market, yesterday on Friday, the Dow was down 112, the NASDAQ off 40, the S&P down 12.5. This morning, a mixed market, going to be a quiet open as we try and absorb this news of this shopping explosion going on. S&P up 2 points, the NASDAQ down 0.5 point, and the Dow up 22. So I can't tell you, I don't think anyone really quite knows what to think about the online explosion going on out there. Amazon up $3, my proxy for tech. You know what I did yesterday? I bought the Disney Plus. Maybe I should buy Disney. You always buy what you know. We use Amazon. Maybe I should buy Disney. I got Netflix too, but I think I want to watch all the Star Wars movies before the last one. So I subscribed to Disney. But The Phantom Menace is an awful movie. Generalissimo, are you listening? Are you awake? Generalissimo?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you remember The Phantom Menace?
Barely.
It's awful.
It's not great.
It is just like the word. Now, the good news is they only get better after that. But what were they thinking? Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, there's.
Oh, holy smokes!
Every time I deal with the kids and do the Grinch thing, right?
Yep.
And they all say they want to do Star Wars this, Star Wars that. I ask them, do you like Darth Vader? Oh, yeah. Do you like Luke? Oh, yeah. Do you like Jar Jar? No. Nobody likes Jar Jar Binks. It's
the Grinch thing, by the way, we don't want to tell people where you live, but Dwayne and Sinister Dell always conspire during the Christmas season to decorate the house and run a Grinch chimney. It's the funniest doggone thing. Have you scared anyone to death yet?
We're building it. We're building it this week.
You're not up and running?
It goes up in operation next weekend.
You are not done.
No.
It's like this show. It's like the studio. It's not working.
Well, that's Bud's fault. The studio's not working.
That's true. It's Bud's fault. Bud, the contractor. Thank you, Generalissimo. I also want to thank Pete and Seth Talbot. They are the founders of ReliefFactor.com. There you go. ReliefFactor.com. I take it. In the first hour, I remind you about it 2 times a day so you don't leave the home without it. Tens of thousands of you depend upon me to do what you ordinarily would do, or your wife forgot to tell you, or you're the wife and you forgot to take it. ReliefFactor.com. I take it in the first hour. I tell you to take it 2 more times. Why? Because if you exercise this weekend, and you did, if you hosted Thanksgiving, you hurt. It's just the fact of the matter. If you hosted Thanksgiving, you put the leaf on the table, you tried to carve the turkey. We had 6 adult males at the house, and none of us knew how to carve a turkey. I admit, I don't do that. Right? I do not do that. Do not do the turkey. But we found there was sort of a committee carving. But people are using muscles they don't normally. And so you pay the price this week. That's why you need ReliefFactor.com. $19.95 is your starter pitch. When I come back, I'll update you on Salvation Army, the wild adventure, the president saying, out with you. Go away, impeachment people. You're not serious, and he is very right. Stay tuned. The last segment of today's Hugh Hewitt Show.
The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network returns from break in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The Hugh Hewitt Show returns from break in 5 seconds.
Army Red Kettle is open over at HughHewitt.com. After you read that New York Times story about the Ohio high school class that everyone has been impacted by opioids, I think you will donate to, I think, the most open rehabilitation set of services in the United States. We're at $89,000 and rising after a week of asking. I'd love to get to $100,000 today. Maybe one of you will write a check to get us there, but I don't care if it's $5 or $500,000. Scott Desper just donated $25. Andrew Campion, $250. Thomas Korber, $26. Eddie Andrews, $104. Charles Tuttle, $50. All of you and more, thank you. God bless you. Giving back to the community. And boy, we need rehab services to get America off of its knees. We do. We got to get all these people back living happy lives, earn success, as Arthur Brooks says, and the Salvation Army is there to do it. And if you're moderately successful or very successful, you're down and out, whatever it is, if you can get someone to send you to the wild adventure, or give it to yourself on this Cyber Monday, but give it to your husband or your son or your father. They're going to love TWA.us. Visit the website and you'll send them. 4 days of terrific fly fishing. Founded 40 years ago by my friend Jan Janura. Been in the studio many, many times. Used to do this on on Groundhog's Day, but I got to keep you posted on breaking news like that New York Times story. The fact that the president has blown off the impeachment inquiry, Pat Cipollone, White House counsel, saying, I'm not doing that. I'm always here to bring you headlines. But I also want to bring you some testimonials of people who have been to Montana. And you go to twa.us. Brent Hildebrand, cut number 26, talking about his trip.
So I'm standing here with
Brent Hildebrand.
Where are you from, Brian?
I'm Brent from Santa Ynez, California.
Really?
Yeah.
And where are you standing right now?
I'm standing in, what's the name of this town? I'm in Montana.
Montana?
Yeah.
What are you doing in Montana?
I'm here for an amazing fly fishing and incredible spiritual journey, I would call it.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Really? So have you ever been on anything like this week before?
I have not.
Really? So how was it?
It was incredible.
Really? Wow. So you aren't getting paid to say any of this, are you?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
No, I am not.
So I was in a group that measured everything by take-home value. What was the big take-home value for you from this week?
The big take-home value for me was the openness and the camaraderie with the guys here, and a real openness for my heart, for my family and my friends, and really wanting to have a more meaningful relationship with everyone.
I'm going to come back to twa.us in a second, but the President of the United States has tweeted. Breaking news, writes the president. The president of Ukraine has just again announced that President Trump has done nothing wrong with respect to Ukraine in our interactions or calls. If the radical left Democrats were sane, which they are not, it would be case over. President is right. He's also right not to go near this sham show trial in the House. It is a sham show trial. It is not legitimate. He should not participate. What you should participate in, or send your husband, father, son, or your best friend and go with them, is the wild adventure, twa.us, twa.us. Here's Chris. And just notice where all these different people are from all over the country, because everyone listens to my show and they go, or their friends take them and they've been. Cut 27, Chris.
So I'm standing here with...
Chris Scaping.
Where are you from, Chris?
Santa Ynez, California.
And where are you right now?
I am in Montana, in the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life.
Really? What are you doing there?
I'm here to open my heart and find fellowship and get closer to God.
Really?
Yes.
So, how was it?
It was amazing. Life-changing.
Really?
Life-changing.
Have you been on something like this before?
First time in my life.
Really?
Grew up without a father, and it's the first time in my life I've been around a table with a group of men and opened my heart.
How cool is that?
Amazing.
Well, listen, I was in a group where they measured everything by take-home value. What's the big take-home value for you from this?
That I'm not alone.
That is a terrific statement. So is Joe Hankins, cut number 28.
So I'm standing here with...
Joe Hinkins.
Where are you from, Joe?
I'm from Santa Ynez, California.
Santa Ynez, and where are you right now?
I'm in Big Sky, Montana.
Really? What are you doing there?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. But
really?
we're getting closer to getting the arrows pointed in the right direction. Is what we're doing.
So, you're up here with a week with a bunch of guys at the Wild Adventure.
That's
How
right.
was it?
It was wonderful. We had a great bunch of guys and great food, great fishing, everything you could ask for. Great
Have you ever been on a week like this before?
Never.
Really? And how was it?
It was exceptional.
Really?
Yes, it was.
So I got to ask you, I was in a group that measured everything by take-home value. What's the big take-home value for this week for you?
I've got a new road map in front of me, and I'm going to change the direction I was on and try and align myself with a better direction that will be better for me, my family.
What a great thing to take away. The Wild Adventure, twa.us. Just go to twa.us, give it to your husband, give it to your son, give it to your father, give it to your friend. The best Christmas present possible. I'll talk to you tomorrow, America, on the next Hugh Hewitt Show.